This home is more than a structure, it's a narrative of time, transformation, and tenderness. Inspired by vernacular architecture and the slow decay of a once-forgotten house, the project began with one radical idea: don't erase the past, wrap it with purpose. Here, the homeowner, a former ceramic artist who had spent years collecting discarded materials from the sea, wanted his home to reflect his philosophy that beauty can emerge from what's already there. This house is not a renovation, not a demolition, but a reimagining, a place where old and new live under one elegant, shared roof. The original house, built in the late 1960s, stood weathered but proud, its volcanic stone walls and timber beams still intact beneath the layers of salt and wind. Instead of demolishing it, the design team saw it as a solid foundation, not just structurally, but emotionally. It held the stories of generations, of family dinners, of storms waited out by the fire. The idea was simple but powerful: let the old house remain as it is, and instead, build around it, covering it with a new, breathable skin that both protects and highlights its historic character. To integrate old and new, the architects used a layering approach, one that emphasized flow, light, and contrast. A new structure, minimal and warm, was carefully built to hover over the existing house, resting on a system of slender timber columns that echoed the rhythm of the original home. This new outer shell didn't overpower the old one but created a dialogue between generations. The roof spanned across both timelines, uniting them under a single, continuous form. Within this new form, spatial relationships were redefined, but always with respect to the bones of the past. At the heart of this home is an open courtyard, a breathing space that both divides and connects. Adjacent to the original bedrooms, a new room was added, forming an intimate square where the old stone meets the new wood. This courtyard is not ornamental, it's vital. It allows air and light to move through the space, ensures privacy without separation, and reflects the home's central idea: coexistence. Just as driftwood and coral coexist on a beach, the house brings together the rawness of memory and the smoothness of modern life. internal program was restructured without breaking the soul of the place. The old living room, once dark and closed off, became a bright kitchen and dining area. Adjacent to it, a new living space was created, not as a traditional room but as an extension of the courtyard's openness. Bathrooms, a dressing room, and laundry were relocated and expanded in the new southern wing, maintaining a clear circulation and freeing the original core from clutter. Movement through the house now feels like walking through a landscape, always shifting, always balanced. One of the biggest challenges was bringing light deep into the interior, as the covered structure increased the building's depth. To solve this, the gabled roofs were staggered and partially lifted, forming clerestory windows that slice light across the wooden ceilings. As the day shifts, light dances across old and new surfaces, a slow, silent reminder that this home is alive. The play of light not only reduces dependency on artificial sources but also adds a poetic dimension. Time becomes visible through shifting shadows. The home structure reflects the philosophy of reuse and resourcefulness. The old timber frame was carefully reinforced, and the new roof system was built using locally sourced wood and standard plywood, assembled on site. Two large beams span the home, one resting on the original frame, the other supported by a subtle moment frame embedded within the new volume. This design allowed the building to be erected without large machinery or heavy concrete. It's a home built with hands and humility, not force, a reflection of the owner's own artisanal spirit. On the eastern side, a studio and guest space were added, small, simple structures with their own identity. Between them lies the entrance, a narrow, elongated passage that resembles an alleyway. This transitional space prepares the visitor. They pass through a compressed moment before entering the open core of the house. It's a spatial metaphor. Just as memory narrows and deepens over time, so too does the entrance funnel light, sound, and expectation into the home's central rhythm. The materials used in the new construction are modest but thoughtful: exposed plywood, blackened steel brackets, recycled glass, and lime-washed plaster walls. The textures were chosen to complement, not compete with, the stone and timber of the original house. In the kitchen, tiles collected from a nearby shipyard were cleaned and repurposed as a backsplash. In the hallway, driftwood was turned into custom handles and coat hooks. Every detail speaks of context. This is not a house you could build anywhere. It belongs to its place, to its owner, to its story. What makes this house special is not just its appearance, but its attitude toward time. It is not nostalgic. It doesn't pretend to be frozen in the past. But it doesn't reject history either. Instead, it treats architecture as a living organism, one that grows, adapts, and carries forward the memory of those who shaped it. Children now play where firewood was once stacked. The kitchen wall holds a beam that watched over 50 winters. Inside this layered home, the future and the past don't just coexist, they support each other, like walls holding up a roof. This house is a gentle reminder that progress doesn't always mean starting over. Sometimes, the most sustainable and soulful choice is to listen to what already exists, to see value in the worn, to find poetry in the practical. In wrapping the old house in a thoughtful new layer, the design creates more than just a building. It creates continuity. A place where memory is not erased, but lived in, where architecture doesn't shout, but whispers the stories of time. And perhaps that is what makes it truly modern, not its materials or form, but its respect for what came before.